Okay, so congratulations on this film. What a great job. I wanted more.
Did you?
I wanted more, yes. But just, you know, from doing videos to the feature film, like, how did you fit a whack of this information into like 100 minutes?
Yeah, it was difficult also at the speed that we were shooting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I worked it out sort of because I wrote the script. I had to work out sort of what about it I wanted to say, and sometimes the real situations didn't tell me what I wanted to say, so I recreated situations that maybe, you know, kind of depicted a couple of live events. So it's about, like you said, it's about packing all this stuff in that short amount of time.
And writing the screenplay as well, and obviously based on Cherie's book. Joan's still around, and so is Cherie. Did that help you with the screenplay and sort of getting the the atmosphere?
Yeah, for sure. I went, when I interviewed both of them, I went to Cherie's home.
Oh, cool.
And her mom was there, and her sister was there, and her stepdad. So, you know, I really got to, and they hadn't talked about it for 37 years.
Wow.
So then once they started talking, all this stuff started coming out. So that was really interesting to see, and what was important to them, what they remembered about the time. And Joan remembered it, I think, a little less, but she's obviously been much more documented. But because she hasn't stopped touring, I just thought, oh my God, you know, that little bit of time, and she's continued on and on and on. And so, you know, just grabbing the sort of what was important to them in broad strokes. And for Joan, it was really about, you know, her dream about having an all-girls band, and for Cherie, it was just sort of, you know, plucked out of this bar to become this person who heads this band.
I mean, I didn't grow up with the Runaways because I wasn't born yet, but I do know Joan Jett. And I do remember singing Joan Jett, you know, when I was a kid. So you're bringing this, you know, in the Runaways to a new generation.
Yeah.
You know, what did you know about the Runaways, and, you know, why did you feel like that this could be told now, kind of thing?
Well, I would listen to them at the club, the Big Bop. I don't know if you remember.
I do remember.
It's still around, the Big Bop. And so I knew of them, and I thought they looked cool as hell, you know, and being all girls and singing about rebellious things, and you know, also playing their instruments, and where girls didn't play rock and roll like that, you know, kind of aggressive rock and roll. And what was the question?
Oh, just in terms of, you know, what you knew about the Runaways and your experience with them.
Yeah,
basically.
And you know, for me, I was drawn to them because they were doing things that girls weren't allowed to do at the time. You know, they weren't allowed to play aggressive rock and roll. And so that really kind of inspired me. I just thought, you know, kind of talk to the rebel inside of me, you know. Why can't they?
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, and then, you know, and Joan was so determined, and her story's a little bit more inspirational. And I think Cherie's maybe kind of a cautionary tale.
Exactly. And, you know, Kristen and Dakota, let's talk about them for a minute. It just seems like they were perfectly cast for this. I mean, how did you help these girls, you know, sort of get into this 70s mindset and as like singers in a rock band?
Yeah, well, I'd given them lots of CDs with music, and YouTube. There's tons of stuff on YouTube, and as this movie went, there's even more. You know, people are posting even more stuff. And so they really got to see what the girls, how they performed. And then what I did is because they sang their own vocals in their in the film, we'd you know, put them in the studio, and they were able to record that. So I think that kind of helped. And I put Cherie in front of Living Things, my husband's band. So I wanted to feel what it was like to really play in front of a live band. And then we did like 2 weeks where they rehearsed every day for 4 hours. With each other as a band. Yeah, so, and put the girls in guitar lessons, drum lessons. I mean, they already knew their instruments, but I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted them to hit every note.
Because it seemed like that would be a little bit intimidating to sort of get up there and sing.
Yeah.
You know, and these girls aren't professional singers.
Yeah.
But
I think because they're such pros, and they want to do such a good job, obviously, that they want to feel every aspect of that person. If that person's a rock star, rock performer, they want to be able to do that. So I think that really helped. By the time we got to Cherry Bomb, it was just like, you know,
that was
a real
one
band.
of my favorite scenes. That was great. And Michael Shannon is phenomenal to begin with, but in this movie, he was just, did he not blow your mind?
When he showed up, because, you know, it could be a mouthful. I mean, he has to play it such a delicate way, because his mannerisms quite raw and aggressive. but his, there's a method to the madness.
Yeah.
He's smart. He's, but his approach to these girls were quite rough,
Right.
So it's sort of this menacing yet not kind of, or maybe humorous quality at the same time. And I think he totally nailed it.
Oh,
when he
bang on.
showed up, it kind of, I think, re-energized everybody, including the other actors.
So creepy and sensational at the same time. It was just crazy. And did you felt like you had to downplay the story a little bit because, Dakota was 15, but yet these girls were that age at the same time. There's intimate scenes and just like the drugs and that kind of stuff.
Well, there was probably obviously more in the real life, but for me, you can't show everything, and for me, I just picked what I needed to, but I didn't veer away from the script because Dakota, became interested. We kind of stuck to it, so that didn't change anything, but yeah.
What was your first reaction when you saw the girls in full dress and character?
It was surreal. It was great. It was like watching, images that I had in my head actually come to life. It was really amazing. And because it's sort of like a costume piece if you think about it, everything's different.
Definitely.
About it. They've got costume, they've got hair, they've got makeup. This is not what people look like today. So for them, I think it was a really great vehicle for them to kind of use. So it was very, very exciting to see them transform.
And did you work closely with Joan and Cherie on this at all? Did they give you some input, throughout filming?
Once the train left, it left.
Yeah.
There wasn't any time for that.
Yeah,
We just kind of, I could barely make my days.
Right. Okay, well, congratulations on this movie. You did a phenomenal job, and I hope to see more of your work in some feature films soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a nice t-shirt.